Hello guys, sorry about that, we're live back up, just had to take an urgent call there. So here we are, Dover Port. We'll try and zoom back in a bit for you on where we are. We're just on the top, looking over the port here now. Number of lorries moving forward slowly. Still 3 or 4 ferries still here in the port. Not a lot of action going on that you can see have been being loaded. 2 P&Os still here. 1 DFDS has just left probably about 15-20 minutes ago with a few lorry drivers on there that have managed to get through for the testing. So you can see here, still lots of police, lots of fire and rescue service personnel from France down there. Bear with me 2 seconds. We're just going to turn this round for you. There. So you can actually see a bit more of what is going on. So I'm going to come back a bit because we're right on the edges. So here we are live at Dover this afternoon as COVID-19 testing continues. So slowly but surely the port is slowly starting to move, and you can see looks like a lot of the facilities are still closed, so it is just a case of getting on the ferries. It looks like they're just trying to pack them on. Try and give you a bit of a view, so you'll see them testing down there. They'll move along slowly through. They'll navigate through the customs sheds there. They'll then come round to the booking in area for the tickets to check in. So they're just making an announcement for the Calais ferry to start moving. Here we are. So like I said, people were live, top of Dover. If you want to share this around, guys, it'd be helpful. Nearly. Just going to try and set this up so this actually sits on the cliff as opposed to falling everywhere. Bear with me, guys. I'll try and zoom in there for you. So you can see them there. Bear with. I'll just pan that around there for you. So the fire and rescue tents there. Right the way up, big long queues there. Trying to get lorries in, you can just see them stationary there. They all need to be tested if they haven't got a COVID test before they move on to the next stage of trying to get onto the ferries. So I'm just saying, Deal and Sandwich is getting a bit of a hard time where all the lorries are just all parked up. Get a better picture. A little bit more. It's very windy. That's better. Right, there you are. You can see it all now, and stay still for once. We don't know how long the French are going to stay for, whether or not they're going to go home tonight, how long they're going to contribute to the testing either. What we've been told is 26 French fire and rescue personnel came over this morning with 10,000 COVID tests. The ones that do test positive, the government have said for the time they've got to self-isolate that they will foot the bill. But the other consideration you've got to answer is where, if for a number of lorry drivers all test positive, where are they actually going to park these lorries? So just give you a pan around of the port. Will come out, we'll zoom out a little bit there. So we'll do a bit of a 360. So you've got obviously Disney Princess sat there doing nothing. Empty terminal there. 1's empty, 3's empty, 5's empty, 6. So no DFDSs are in. Just got 2 P&O. Obviously French fire and rescue personnel down there carrying out the testing. So we'll zoom back in on the testing down that way. Oh yeah. So it looks like they brought their one of their command and operation units and one of their pods over. When I come out, I bursted this morning. Lots of queues there. So obviously lots of people trying to scoot round to get onto the A20 down to Ashford. Usually alternatives. That was still chock-a block. I'm sure that's going to be like that for the next few days, but we just obviously got to bear with it. I say obviously get some sort of system in place. Now, what I said earlier is obviously truck drivers that can't get the Holiday Inn at Ashford are offering food, drink, and I think some rooms, if they're available, public in Ashford are paid for those rooms for these lorry drivers to stay and refresh themselves up after like a number of days. We've heard of residents passing pizzas down bridges onto the M20 for these guys in stack. Yeah, so let me just move you over here and then you'll see. So it looks like that you've got on this side here, you've got the NHS. I'm trying to push this out, so I'm pushing this camera a bit. So you've got the track and trace guys there. Then over on the other side, you've got the French Fire and Rescue Service. So that's the sappers are over on this side, and then you've got the NHS, the UK guys that are obviously all working in one contingent to try and get all these drivers. We thought that there'd be lots of ferries all on standby. You would have. I don't know what is down. I don't know if anyone in Hampshire is watching what Portsmouth is like for ferries and and everything else. You would have thought they would have possibly sailed them over and put on more services, but the problem is I just don't think they've got the traffic. They haven't got the traffic going through to fill these ferries up. The last ferry that left was half empty. You can see down here that, you know, none of this is all empty, so they're just not managing to get the tests done and through quick enough to fulfill the ferries. 100 lorry drivers left last night, bearing in mind the port's been open all day. There's not very many cars going through here either. I appreciate a lot of freight goes through this side for Dover, but not seeing very many cars or minivans or anything else going through. And you can see down the road there, we'll just move this up a tiny bit. We'll come off the testers for a second and we'll show you what else we can see. So obviously over this side here, over here they're just all queuing still, trying to get in, but they can't get in because they're not being let in. So very, very slowly, one at a time, these lorry drivers are being tested. Spoke to a lorry driver this morning that was stuck in the chaos on the 249. Department of Transport had sent 2 lorry loads of COVID tests down, but he got told to fight the queues in order to try and deliver these tests. So for those just joining us, we're live in Dover at the top of the port where they're carrying out COVID-19 tests on lorry drivers. Now the French Fire and Rescue Service are carrying out the tests themselves. The UK lorry drivers, the NHS test and trace staff are handing the tests to the lorry driver, asking them to test themselves and then give the test back. So we'll just zoom in there, you'll see on the top there, we're quite far away, but obviously we're trying to show you what's going on. Thank you guys. If you'd like to share it around, it'd be great. If you want me to move around, tell me. I need to go and get a drink, I'm so thirsty. Been doing too much talking. I'm just going to put that there, see if that stands up. You shouldn't. So here we are again. We'll just pan you across the port. We'll just show you here. P&O ferry's still in. We'll just zoom back out, guys. Bear with me. So here we are, Port of Dover. The A2 stationary. We saw the A2 just crammed. Some people using the opposite side of the carriageway just to get around Dover. They've obviously had enough. So a lot of unaccompanied freight there. Sorry about that. Doing too much talking the past couple of days, and yes, I am wearing a mask for people asking. A lot of testing going on up at Manston apparently, but a lot of drivers are going to end up staying here for Christmas. It looks like a lot of them are packed up like these testers. Just looks like they're doing a certain amount of testing, then stopping for a bit, whether they're testing them to see whether they come back negative or not. We understand 4 lorry drivers so far have tested positive for COVID at Manston. We're obviously asked for a breakdown of further figures on how many tests they've carried out, and it was averaging 250 tests an hour for them to process them and obviously test the driver and process those tests. So they're doing approximately 250 tests an hour. But obviously we've estimated figures of 5,000 lorries heading up to Manston and another 2,500 lorries on the M20, along with obviously other lorries that are parked up in laybys and towns. I think they've certainly underestimated the figures, and I think they've had one massive job on their hands, because bearing in mind some of these drivers, if they're still stuck here after the 31st, they're going to need tariff paperwork and everything else, so that will have a knock-on effect for those with their loads. They'll have to be reclassified and have new paperwork, because I'm sure the French aren't going to make any sort of exceptions. So all the tariffs change, all the paperwork changes, so they won't have the correct paperwork in order to come into the port. So here we are for people interested. Rather than me just giving you the traffic, we thought we'd try and find out what was going on in Dover Port. So here they are testing on the right hand side here, sorry, on the left hand side of the picture. You can see the French Fire and Rescue Service. 26 personnel have come over this morning with 10,000 COVID tests. Repatriate some of their stranded lorry drivers who we understand have contacted their embassy who are very upset. They feel like they've been abandoned, as have a lot of Romanian people that we spoke to. The Romanian embassy goes to a mobile phone with a recorded message on there saying that they are in talks with the UK and the French. How many does it go back? We're counting 1, so from where we can see at the moment, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 1. In that little stack there, this bit, there's probably about 100 vehicles. In terms of personnel, we can see quite a few personnel down there, lorry drive, a lot of test and trace staff there. But again, you've obviously got personnel that are needed to carry out these. There's one set carrying out the tests, there's the other set processing the tests, and then obviously they're going to need to issue the certificates for these drivers to be able to move on with a negative test. They can't go through the customs hall without a negative test result. So do you want us to stay here, guys, or do you want us to try and move to a different location? Give us a thumbs up if you want us to stay here. Share this around the groups, guys, if you can. It'd be helpful. Follow us. Look on our websites. Give us a bit of support. uknip.co.uk, kent999.co.uk. Share this to the drivers up at Manston, let them know that they are actually testing people down here. They're also testing at Operation Brock. Don't know about Stack, we've seen them at Brock testing. A lot of additional police, Kent police, have been called in to assist Dover Port Police in trying to manage the operation as well. So you can see the white tent in the distance there. That's where all the testing. So these fire brigade personnel, as the lorries come in, they test them. They then process the tests in the white tent and send the results to the driver's mobile phone. So they've got a certificate. And the French authorities, as they turn up on the other side, are also testing random drivers as they come off the various results. Hundreds of lorry drivers stranded. Like I said earlier in the beginning of the stream, a lot of locals helping out by dropping pizzas down on ropes, buying these pizzas for these drivers, because they know how important they are. They keep our economy going. It may only be 20%, but it's 20% of a lot of stuff that comes in, a lot of food stuff. Brussels sprouts, for example. But this testing is obviously going to go on right the way through Christmas Day. Don't really know what the hold up is on the French side, whether or not they've run out of tests or whether or not they're waiting for the next batch of lorries to come in. We don't really know. I think it's quite interesting though that obviously the French people who live in France who don't need a passport to go back into France because that's where they live. Why they can't come back in and be tested when they come back into France, because obviously they're not testing every single resident in France for the new strain of COVID. It's just obviously people coming into the country, into their tunnel or into their border. What we understand, Kerry, what we're understanding is that the French are randomly pulling drivers over, rechecking these tests and retesting them to see how accurate. I'm guessing it's to get a gauge on how accurate these tests are. I know Metron at the last hour, they were saying that they had to be the proper 2-day test like everyone else is getting up at Manston and all the other test centres. But obviously he backed down and said that he would accept the 15-minute test. Now, obviously, what you've got to understand, normally there's 2 routes with 54 daily sailings from the port with DFDS. Now, I don't know how many lorries can go on a boat. I don't know. I'm sure there's somebody there that can tell us who's watching. I don't know how many lorries can actually go on one of these one of these ferries. I know it's only a couple of hours to get over, an hour to load and unload, but when you think about that and you multiply that by 10,000 lorries a day on average, and you've also got lorries coming in, I haven't seen a lot of freight go out, if that, as in land, and come off the ferry. So I don't know whether or not I believe the tunnel's open. I haven't been up to the tunnel today. We just thought we'd concentrate on Dover today. So it's ferry boats take 20 lorries. So if you work that out, 54. So just on DFDS, I know that they do 54 sailings on 2 routes to Dunkirk and Calais. So that's not many. So this, like they have said, they've been honest that it is going to take a number of days. The red trucks are French fire and rescue personnel that have come over with their COVID tests to carry out some tests. It looks like now that they're shutting their testing centre down. So their testing centre is now closed for the day by the looks of it. It looks like they're detenting and making up their gear in order to go back, I'm guessing. I guess they've run out of tests or they've just done their bit, which is admirable for them, but bearing in mind they are from France, and obviously France is the French Prime Minister is the one who imposed these sanctions on us in order to release these drivers. So somebody's saying P&O take 1,500 lorries. So bearing in mind Manston's got about 4,500 with another 1,000 on its way up, and then there's another 2,000. It's going to take a number of days, isn't it, along with other additional traffic. So we're counting the lorries, but we're also not counting the cars and the minivans and the caravans and the that are all being taken over as well. So we're forgetting that. So there's probably more than 10,000 people waiting to go back over. So guys, we're going to come off for a bit, I think, and try and find something else as well. Thanks for joining us.